I think I might need to go back to therapy. I was going to therapy and then my house caught fire and I stopped going to therapy, which, as I say, that does sound a little counterproductive, I suppose, but they called to schedule an appointment and it was right after the fire. And I remember being like, dude, I don't even have a place to live right now. I'm not worried about my next appointment. And they said, okay, we'll call back. And then that was almost a year ago. So, and I've done a lot of healing, but I guess when it comes to trauma, sometimes trauma hits and it's new trauma. And I guess I didn't go to therapy because I was fine regarding the past trauma, but this new trauma is doing a number on me. Tomorrow's death really, it brought out something that I was doing really well at keeping under wraps. I was. I really was. And I do a lot online, you all know, with trauma and the dark side of the internet and monsters. And I was doing really well because it was just me supporting other people. My monster was gone. You know, I've healed from that. I'm not saying I'm completely healed, but I've come a long way as far as that. So now it was just kind of other people's monsters. Well, then one of my friend's monsters murdered her, and she was gone in an instant. And before she was gone in an instant, before I knew she was gone in an instant, and that's the mind fuck. Nobody's found her body. So, like, she's gone, but she could just walk into a police station one day. You see what I mean? It's not closed. It's not, but then it's also not open where I can sit by the phone and wait for tomorrow to call me, it's weird. And given what I've found out, it doesn't seem likely that she's calling anybody. And it's like when that happened, all of it, not even just case files, not even just missing person posters and news stories and people on the internet giving their input. Meanwhile, somebody on the internet, actually know this woman that they're talking about and making fun of and judging. The other day, I was with my youngest, and this was something that I didn't plan on ever saying this to you guys, but I said it to my husband, and we were in the McDonald's play place, and I had just sat down with our drinks, and he said, I have to go to the bathroom. And so he went to the bathroom. Now, we've been in this McDonald's a million times, and while no public place is 100% ever safe, no matter how many times you've been there, I get that. My point is that I didn't get any negative energy. I didn't get a bad vibe. There wasn't any, the bathrooms are clean. The place itself is clean. It's like it was good energy. He's gone to the bathroom many times, and I've never had an issue. But this specific day, he went to the bathroom, and maybe 2, 3 minutes later, this man didn't even come out of the bathroom, just came from the area the bathroom was in. And he had a suitcase, like one of those rolling backpack suitcases. And he simply was exiting the McDonald's. And immediately when I saw him, now he wasn't being suspicious whatsoever, but as soon as I saw him, I was sure that my son was in that backpack, that he had murdered my son, stuck him in the backpack, and was now escaping. I had to mentally hold myself back from charging this man and demanding to see inside his backpack. Do you understand how crazy I would have looked? And so I stopped. I didn't. And I watched him. And the entire time, my brain is telling me that he has my baby in his backpack and he's escaping. And I'm trying to remember what he looks like so I can tell authorities later when I find out. And I waited. And my son didn't come out. And I watched this man cross the street and go up the street. And the whole time I'm going, I need to chase after him and get my baby back. And I'm even trying to tell myself, my son's not small enough to fit in that backpack. But what if he chopped him into pieces? In the McDonald's bathroom? In 2 minutes? You know? But I was sure of it. My son still didn't come out the bathroom. That's unusual. I'm sure he's gone now. I rushed to the bathroom, and it's the men's bathroom, so of course, I'm not exactly going to just rush in. So what I did was I put my back to the door, and I kind of pressed my hand against the door and like cracked the door, and I called out his name, and he replied, and it turned out he was just pooping, and that's what was taking him so long. And in that moment, I realized that I'm not as okay as I thought I was. And when, in previous years, I I would not replay, I would imagine, that's the better word. It's not replay. I would imagine my husband dying and not his death, but I call it the Selena scene. You know that scene when she dies and it's the hospital hallway and her husband is just inconsolable and her parents are sobbing and each other. Like, I would imagine that, but my husband's the one that died. I would imagine the funeral. I would imagine the agony. I would play this specific song in my mind and just imagine it. Well, one day I'm going through that cycle. And I knew it wasn't good. Now that I know everything I do with mental, and your thoughts creating stuff, I even had that back then of like, girl, don't be thinking like this. You're going to make it happen. Well, one day I was in that cycle mentally. And then all of a sudden I heard something on the other side of my bedroom door and I opened it. And my husband was on the other side of it with a ripped shirt. And I found out that he had been pulled into a machine and almost lost his life that day. Like, he almost lost his life, came home, stood on the other side of the door, and I opened it. Like, I had just been imagining his death, and he almost died while I was imagining his death. And it scared the shit out of me, guys. And I swore to never imagine his death again or anybody I love because I was so afraid that my thoughts were powerful enough that I would cause it. Well, with everything going on lately, it's like that fear is amplified and I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I mean, I guess I am because I'm making this, but I'm not mentally fantasizing it. Fantasize doesn't feel like the right word because it's not like I feel like fantasizing is you desiring it, but maybe that is the right. I'm not desiring it. Imagining it, I don't know. I'm a little flustered, and the words aren't coming. Well, since then, my husband's had some scary moments where he just, from what I know of his childhood, he's just had a hard life, and sometimes things try to take him out, and he always survives. I'm just so scared that one day he won't. I mean, I know everybody says, "Oh gosh, I couldn't survive losing somebody," you know? No, genuinely, that would be my villain origin story, guys, and not in a funny, playful way. Like, I'm not sure I could survive that, guys. And even if I could survive it, I probably, all of you would help me get through it. Okay, fine, I survive it physically. My soul would never be the same. It would never. I would be changed, and no healing, no friends, no unmuted audio would ever fix the hole that would be left. This man has been my absolute best friend since I was 15. And before that, before he showed up, I've been praying for this man since I was little. He's been every birthday wish, every shooting star wish, every fantasy, every dream. And the thought that one day he could just be gone and it wouldn't be his his fault, his doing, his want. Like there's many people who they get abandoned, they get left, they get cheated on, they get divorced. No, that wouldn't be him. He would never leave willingly. He would fight with every bit of fight left in him. You would have to, you know, you would have to fight to get him to give up. Like, death itself would have quite the fight. I'm aware of that, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing scarier than growing up with somebody and knowing that that same boy at 15 who survived heart attacks, his body eventually will get old enough and that it won't be able to fight like it did at 15. It won't be able to fight like it did when he was a little boy. His heart, his soul can put up a fucking fight, but eventually his body gives out. That may be at 99, you know what I'm saying? He may be an old, like, decrepit old man who's like, please. But one day there's a goodbye. And the scary thing is that I could go out today and I'm gone. And that scares me almost even more. Because how I just said I couldn't live without him, he can't live without me. So what happens if one of us goes and the other goes from a broken heart, and then now our babies are all alone without either one of us? Given our house and our life and our family, that would cause devastation. And it's just, oh gosh. I told you I need to go to therapy. I told you. When I was a kid, I had this. He was a family friend, but like he was a family friend that was family. We called him Uncle Bill, and I genuinely thought he was related, but I found out it was more of like he had kids who grew up with my mom and uncle, and so he was like their grown up, and then I was born, and then he was my grown up too, and He lived in this, I think it's an actual place. I called it Berry Creek, but I think that's an actual, what it's called. I don't know. It was in California. And he had just the dream property, like beautiful house, beautiful property, vibe at the sunset. When the sun went down, you couldn't even see your hand in front of you. That's how little lights there were. It was my dream place, and I swore to him that I was going to grow up and live in a place just like Berry Creek and live my best life, you know? And so we would visit. We didn't visit a whole lot, like maybe once a year, but it was one of my favorite times is when we would visit him. And he taught me reciprocation. And it was like at the at a kid age, I I was so annoyed because he just would instill it in me, reciprocation, reciprocation, and we would send. It's funny now, that I say this, but like we would send letters back and forth. That's where I got my love of letters. Um, and just like with my uncle, I didn't appreciate him. I loved him. I appreciated him in the moment, but when I would go back home, it's like they're gonna live forever, so you can always get to it later. That's what I mean by I didn't appreciate him. There's always time to send a letter. There's always time to send a call. And he called one day, and I don't remember exactly. I mean, I guess I would have to have been 13, 12, 13. And he called, and I was having a party with my with about four of my friends, and there was two boys coming, and so he was making fun of me, behave myself, and he made this joke, and I was rolling my eyes at the moment, but he said I was gonna make fruit salad, like he's because I was talking about what am I gonna, feed teenage boys, and he's like, well, you can always make the fruit salad, and I was like, you're such an idiot. But he just liked to make me laugh. Um, and so he said, just the boys will love it. Trust me. Just make some fruit salad. They don't need chips, dip, anything. Just they'll gobble up this fruit salad. And whatever, Uncle Bill. And so he said, "Hey, write me a letter. Tell me all about it." Because he could talk on the phone, but he liked handwritten letters. And like I said, reciprocation. He'd send letters back. Like this wasn't, he would send a letter back and tell me all about this life he was living, and it was wonderful. And so, he ended the call with like, I look forward to your letter, and I was like, yeah, 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 I gotta go. I love you. And he said, I love you too, B. And we hung up the phone. And um next time his name came up, it was because my mother was finding out that he had gone to a friend's house and they needed their gutters cleaned. And so he got on the roof and ended up falling off of the neighbor's house. It was a neighbor, but like not, he was a neighbor that lives quite a while away, you know what I'm saying? Um, but he fell off the roof, straight onto his head, and obviously didn't survive. Gone in an instant. Um, I don't, I don't, I know this sounds heartless. I don't care what you believe. Um, he was my first. other than my cat, which is a story for another day, he was my first glimpse of the afterlife. And the experience I had with his death after, his passing, it is a lot of what I believe now. Because he was a jokester. And so after he had passed, there was a day where I was in the laundry room and the soap, just the soap container, okay, nothing was on. It wasn't like a shaking. The soap dispenser flew off. Like I saw it with my own eyes. Flew off. And I got in trouble because I had spilt soap, but nobody believed me that I didn't spill any soap. The soap flew off and they were like, "Yeah, sure it did." No, it it wasn't me and nobody believed me. Um a few days later, my I had one of those big boombox radios, like the 5 CD player stereos. And I was laying in bed and I was crying. And all of a sudden, this loud bang, and I turn over, and my stereo had fallen off of the dresser. Not like fallen off the wall, fall off the shelf, off of the dresser. Not possible. Never happened before, never happened after. I'm 100% sure that that was him. Um, Years later, when I was pregnant with my oldest, we got a call that my actual uncle um, had died suddenly, and he was another one where I didn't appreciate him, and we had gotten into a bit of an argument. I know that he's forgiven me. You know what I mean? He's forgiven me in the afterlife. I know that, and I was just a dumb teenager. I didn't have bad intentions. I had had so much toxicity put in my head that it made me scared of even the safe people. Like, I didn't know who I could trust. And it ended up looking on both sides, to him and to me. It ended up looking like there was a problem where there should have never been a problem. But other people put their perspectives in and basically took what was already them speaking ill intention into my boyfriend at the time, but my husband now, basically telling me that my husband had ill intentions for me and didn't want the best for me and my future and my life, telling me my uncle didn't want what was best for me or my life, that they both secretly hated me, that they were going to hurt me. Meanwhile, turning my uncle and my husband against each other and telling my uncle that, you get what I'm saying? Like, it was toxicity and it wasn't even the three of us. But the three of us were the ones who got impacted, and it caused the end of my relationship with my uncle. And then one day he was gone, and there was nothing I could do to go back in time. And he's another one where I fully believe he is still around me, still protecting me. I mean, there was a day where I it was my oldest was little, probably like a toddler, and I was walking to pick him up from the babysitter, and I forgot my wallet, which was like something I didn't usually do, but I was like, dang it, like I'm so inconvenienced. And so I walked back, I got my wallet. Well, when I walked back, where I would have been standing, a car had jumped onto the sidewalk and crashed. literally where I would have been if I had continued walking. And so I, even in that moment, went, that was my uncle. I have lost people suddenly through death and through just, I mean, I've had it where you start the day with somebody and you end the day and your relationship is over. And a lot of the time when that would happen, I wouldn't speak to them again. I wouldn't see them again. The relationship is gone, and so is their presence in my life. But the thing is, when you lose somebody, like, even in the case of no contact, you could physically get to them if you tried. But when somebody's dead, even if you have a situation like my uncle's, where they protect you, they speak to you, you don't hear them. Like, you may hear them in the spiritual aspect, but your phone doesn't ring and go, hey, it's Uncle Bill, and you have a conversation. That's what I struggle with lately, is the thought that people I love could just, in a single breath, be gone. And what kills me is that, especially in the case of my husband, because he's the one that's like the biggest piece of my daily life. Him and my kids. But I literally can't eat. Like, I can't talk about my husband, but we can't talk about my kids, because that'd be another one of those. We can't even, I can't even discuss that on unmuted. My husband's who I sleep next to. My husband's who I hang out with. I'm, I know this is gonna shock you. I'm not super social. I'm not. I do stuff like this. But day to day, I hang out with my kids. I hang out with Kevin. I go to bed next to Kevin. I wake up next to Kevin. When I'm bored, I call Kevin. When I'm scared, Kevin shows up. When I'm hurting, Kevin's there, and he makes me feel better. I mean, I could be mid panic attack, and if Kevin says, it's okay, I'm going, yeah, you know what it is. Well, Kevin, the universe sometimes tries to take him out. Kevin would be a wonderful spirit guide. He really would. You'd all be shocked at how much Kevin made happen, but I want Kevin here. I want tomorrow here. I don't want tomorrow to protect me from the afterlife. I want a text tomorrow. I want to show tomorrow our matching tattoo. I want to hear tomorrow's voice. I have a friend, and if you hear this, you'll know it's you, who introduced me to one of their family members, like one of their impactful, like meant the world to them, family member. And what an honor. Like, I don't get that a whole lot. I interact with all of you, but I don't always get to meet your family and friends and stuff, like your daily life people. And I told her about something that had happened involving Kevin, and it just occurred to me that, like, in a moment where I needed, this person, like, eventually they'd get to me. I know that. I know this friend enough. They'd get to me. But in the immediate, like, I'd be all alone. I'd be surrounded by people, but I'd be all alone. because it would be Kevin. And my children, like, they'd be there. But my children are children, so I gotta be there for them. And what if I have another friend who just is gone and I didn't get introduced to their family, so their family doesn't even know to call me. I didn't know Tomorrow was missing until I saw the page made about her and saw that her profile was now a missing person profile. Like, that's how I found out. Not because somebody called me. This friend I was just talking about, they almost died years ago, a couple years ago, but like not a long time ago, but like enough time that, they've done a crazy amount of healing physically and emotionally. But the exact same thing almost happened. They almost just died in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. And the only reason I know is because they stayed alive to tell me the next day when they were in the hospital. But at that time, this friend didn't have the people that they do now. And so if they had passed, I probably wouldn't have known, or I would have known eventually when it got posted on TikTok. So that's two friends in just a couple of years. And I have, when I say a lot of friends, I have a few close friends, but if everybody I've met, that's a lot of people who could just one day be gone. And like I said, I understand that this is all, this is all signifying a mental health situation I need to address, and I will address it. I'm not just gonna put it all on unmuted and just move on, because this fear isn't gonna go away. But I guess death is just a monster that I can't I can't win, because there's a lot of people in this world and everybody's going to die. And as I stated earlier, I'm not sure when I'm gonna go. And the thought that I could leave all of you, that's just as unbearable as losing you guys, is the thought of leaving you guys. And I don't even know. How do I even end this? I'm just on. This probably is going to have a trigger warning on it, because there's no way. This isn't for everybody. I just don't want to be sitting in a McDonald's place and imagining my child in some strange man's backpack. But that fear's not going anywhere, because I hear stories every single fucking day about the horrible thing being done to children, and the horrible thing being done to my friends, and the horrible thing being done to women and men and gay people and elderly and black people and Chinese people and white people. Like, you get what I'm saying? People can be so cruel to human beings, and that's human beings. We're not even gonna discuss animals. Like, I don't know what your social media looks like, but my social media, it feels so dark sometimes, and it's hard not to let this fear take over when I love people so much, and I love the people around me even more than that. I love certain people so much I can't breathe sometimes, and the thought that one day somebody, it would even be them, that's the part that hurts. And anybody who's lost somebody through death knows what I mean. they're not you. I mean, yeah, you spiritually might have an encounter. I get that, but like for example, this isn't. It, this just made me think of that because I said that when I found out that my grandma died. This was not her. There was no way this was her. This had to be my uncle. My mother called and very quickly was like, I just want you to know that Mimi's dead. And then said, I need to go, and hung up, okay? Well, I hung up the phone, and on our TV, it started playing. It's Britney, bitch. It's just loud as hell. Just, it's Britney, bitch. Dude. Oh man, it was not funny in the moment. I was devastated, but it was such a like there was no reason for that song to play. But aside from that, it's not the person who passed that tells you, it's somebody else. It's a cop, it's a doctor, it's a friend, it's a stranger. It's not that person. And it's like to think that with the people I love, that online strangers are the ones who tell me that you guys are gone. In day-to-day life, strangers are the ones who tell me they're gone, and it's like it just feels like a lot of loneliness, guys. And I know that's there's nothing we can do about that. That's how death works. Kevin had a family member, a young family member, who was hit by a car in a crosswalk. He was just crossing the street. Young boy, full of life, amazing personality, gone in an instant. His family now grieves each and every day. His mother is not the same. He started that day having no idea he wasn't making it to bedtime. This fear feels like it's consuming me because there's no way to get rid of it. A predator, they get put away. You go, okay, that child's safe. That victim's safe. But death is always there. Death is always around. Death is always. Somebody started this morning. It's now 10:06 at night, and somebody's gone. Many people are gone, but let's just simplify it. Somebody isn't going to sleep tonight. And somebody's going to sleep tonight, and they're not waking up in the morning. That's what happened with my grandma. Granted, she had severe dementia, so there was a lot of factors going into that. But she took a nap next to her husband. She never woke up. There was a little more warning, like I said. She was very sick. But none of us know if we get warning, and that's hell in its own, is having warning. Other people just walk across the street, never make it to the other side. They help their friend, they climb on a roof, and when they get down, they're gone. They hang up the phone, and they never call their wife again. I want to live. I've spent so much of my life, one, being depressed, two, not wanting to live. Now I finally want to live, and I'm scared to death of not living. I'm scared to death of the people I love not living. And it's like the more I love all of you, the more scared I am that I'm gonna lose you and I'm gonna have nothing but your memory, and that I would have no choice but to just keep going, you know? In the case of my husband, all of your lives would move on. I'd get, consoling and reassuring and help for a little bit, but then there'd be a day where they're just like, okay, you're on your own, kid, and I would just have to keep going. Meanwhile, that boy I prayed for, that boy I played with in my mind in Happy Place, a key piece of my heart would be gone. It happens all the time. People lose their children and everybody goes, oh, I know what that feels like. I lost my own child, but you don't know what it's like to lose that child, that soul, those memories, that spot in your house. That backpack doesn't get put on ever again. Those shoes don't ever get put on again. Grief is it brings people together, but it's so unique that nobody can ever feel the full grief. And there's some griefs that it's like, I physically do not know how you can survive it. I understand how couples who have been together for 80 years, one passes and then the other one passes a couple days later, because of course these people grew up together. They can't survive without each other. I worked so hard to create the family that I'm proud of. And now I spend every day, even McDonald's play places, terrified that my baby's being stuck in a backpack. And knowing this is the worst part. If he had been hurt, the man with the backpack would have had no idea. Would have not had, I mean, obviously he would have cared because, that circumstance. But, like, tomorrow's life was gone. And the person who did it doesn't even know the impact she had. Like, the amount of people I have seen stories from about this one woman. And I'm not surprised in the slightest. There's a reason I've spoken tomorrow's name as much as I have, because I know, just like the friend who almost lost their life, I am fully aware who I am surrounded by. I have some good friends. But when that grief hits, I can see other people's memories of her, but nobody can feel my grief for me. I have to feel it. But I have to feel it while I'm also still moving through life. And I have to look at sunsets and go, is that you? Is that crow you tomorrow? Is that eagle you, Papa? Is that chipmunk you, Uncle Bill? That probably sounded really random, but we used to do a chipmunk dance together. So I don't really know if he's a chipmunk, but it feels fitting and makes me laugh. Point is, I know I should go to therapy and I should talk about it, but it's like, at the same time, yes, the fear needs to be addressed, but this also helps because I guess I just need this out. If you guys don't listen to it, I know it's long. okay, so be it. But I need to speak it out because I'm not trying to manifest it anymore. I'm not visualizing it, and it still is looming on. I never fantasized tomorrow. Like, I never imagined it. It just smacked me in the face one day. My other friend, I not once ever even thought that was a possibility, and it almost smacked me in the face one day. That's why I did it. It's not that I was hoping it would happen. Nobody imagines being at somebody they love's funeral and it be healthy. I knew that. But I also wasn't going to risk it when I imagined it and immediately saw consequences. Even I understood that I can't control if it happens, but I also don't want to have what ifs of like, oh, did I cause it? But I also can't hold people back from living their life. Like, some people, they, they have jobs, they have stuff they do, and sometimes it ends tragically. And sometimes they're just driving down the road on a stormy day, and sometimes other people decide to take their life from them. They didn't do anything wrong. It just other people chose to take them from everybody they love. I can't control that. I want everybody I love to just be safe in a bubble and nobody can hurt them. And meanwhile, I'm just standing there in front of the bubble going, you can't have them. They're mine. That's not possible. I'm not that strong. I can't even keep myself. I can't control if somebody else takes my life. I can't control if somebody else hits me in a crosswalk. I can't. It's gotten better. But a couple years ago, I had an issue. I didn't share it with all of you, but I had an issue where my throat would close up. Just, I would laugh too hard and my throat would close up. I would cough just wrong, just a random cough, and my throat would tighten as if I was having an asthmatic episode. My throat would just, and I couldn't breathe. And there was many times where I genuinely thought that was my final moment. Genuinely, I'm not being funny. I genuinely thought this is the moment I am gone. Even worse, sometimes I was alone. And that, I mean, that's a fear in itself for me, is that I guess because I grew up passing out, and even then I was terrified of passing out by myself. Then I started having seizures from trauma. Then I was scared of, what if I have a seizure and I'm all alone? And there was a time where I had a seizure all alone, and I was on my stomach and I almost suffocated, and my youngest, a toddler at the time, just happened to come in and go tell my husband, Mama. And he said, Mama, what? Mama. And so my husband came to see what Mama needed, and Mama needed rescuing. And then my throat started closing up. And then I started being scared of my throat closing up, or having a seizure, or passing out, or a car hitting me, or accidentally driving off a cliff. Not because I wanted to. What if something happened and something went wrong and my car just went off? I have to breathe through walking, or not walking, driving over a bridge. Because what if the bridge collapses? See what I'm saying? some of this fear was happening while I was still in therapy, but I was more concerned over why I wasn't good enough for my parents. I swear, I was more worried about why doesn't my mom love me enough to fight for our relationship, because that felt scary. But problem is when you heal that, the other fears are still standing in line waiting. Okay, now will you acknowledge the fact you're terrified of losing your friends? Now will you discuss with others the fact that you see so much horrific things happen to children, that the children that are right directly in front of you, what if they can't go to the bathroom? What if a monster hurts them? What if the monster takes them from you and doesn't care that this boy is full of life and is so excited for his chicken nuggets you just ordered? Just ends him, puts him in a backpack, and just strolls out like he's luggage. What if you let him? What if you just let the guy just walk off? Meanwhile, this boy has no idea. This boy is just sitting on the toilet pooping. It's a lot of pressure to put on my husband to not die. Meanwhile, he's going, babe, I'm not trying, like, I don't want to leave you. And that's why I was saying earlier, he's not, I don't have a doubt that that man would stay. Like, he's not leaving willingly. That's why he's still here, is because he said, nah, you son of a bitch, I'm staying. My girl needs me. My babies need me. But he's human, just like I'm human, and he can love me with his full heart. He can love his babies with his full soul. But when his heart stops, he becomes a spirit guide. Then he's knocking soap over, and it's like, I could be on my knees begging that man, don't leave me. And he doesn't want to leave me. That's why goodbyes hurt so much. You've all seen the movie scenes. I don't want to leave you, baby. We all have seen it. It's not as much fun when it's real life. I've seen too much, guys. My mother had a lot of not great stuff. I know that. But she was also human, and a man she loved. He was her fiance. She adored that man. We all did. One day he got up out of bed, just a random morning. Now there was more to it. My husband he was having some issues and he was in the ER, so he didn't even get to say goodbye. Neither did I, but you get what I'm saying. He wasn't even at home. This man stood up out of bed to go to the bathroom, dropped dead. He was a large man. Um, and I think it was a heart attack is what it ended up being. I don't remember the exact cause, but very overweight man. Insert whatever you think, but point is, he just woke up. He had just been cuddling my mother. He just stood up and dropped and was gone. Of course, you know how it works. They don't tell you he's gone. They transport him. I got a call as I was leaving the hospital, and she said, I'm gonna need you to go back to the hospital. He's on his way. I went back. They brought the family in the room as they do. My mother worked, at that time, worked with hospitals and stuff. And so she knew this specific room. Anybody who's worked in hospitals and medical professionals, you know the room. They put everybody in his family in that room. She saw that they were going in that room. She dropped to the ground and screamed. Guttural scream. Screamed. No, please, I can't do this. I had to go upstairs and I had to tell Kevin that this man was gone. Now, this man was at the time like a father. He's the reason that Kevin didn't end up leaving. Sorry for giving me, but we broke up and he almost left, and our story was almost very different. But because this man basically vouched for Kevin and said, no, I think he deserves a second chance. We're here together with the family, happy, thriving. This man was gone in the blink of an instant. And in moments of death and grief, I think of that scream. My mother has screamed like that twice in my knowing her. She probably screamed more than that, but I know of two screams, both of them horrifying for me to remember. That one, that one reminds me of the Selena scene. That's the scream I imagine specific people, if they ever passed, that's the scream I would elicit if I ever passed. That's the scream specific people would elicit. That's that kind of grief scream. That's what I imagine people who lose their children. I mean, I've had a miscarriage, but I'm talking like lose your children. um, that's the scream I imagine. And the tough time is when that person is not gone. They're still, my husband is, he's still driving. He's still around. He's not here right now. You know, he's not home right now, but he will be. But he works in a profession that if you have a spouse that works in dangerous professions, you get it, that every time they walk out the door, you know that there's always the chance they don't come back. My own mother almost died one day, and same thing. Had some issues, felt weird. We were getting my wedding dress, felt weird, doesn't feel good. Ended up having blood clots in her lungs that went to her brain. Almost died on our driveway. Just didn't feel good, then all of a sudden, boom, hits the ground. Fought for her life for weeks, months, years, if we're being honest, to get back to even functioning. Almost gone in an instant. And in that moment, I remember thinking, I'm not ready. I'm not ready ever, but I'm not ready. I don't even know how to pay bills. You know, I was young. I don't even know how to pay my own bills. I don't even know how to get car insurance, Mom. You can't leave me alone. I'm a grown woman now, and I feel that way about my husband. You can't leave me alone. I need you. You know, my children. You can't leave. You're my babies. You can't leave. I need you with me. My friends. What? We're just getting started. You can't leave me. I need you. Yeah, I need to make a therapy call tomorrow. I know, but I also need to make this unmuted episode just to have these words, I guess, somewhere out there, so that you know if anybody ever loses anybody, whether it be me, him, my friends, check on whoever's still here, because they will need somebody. Either way.